Hello again, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Now for 19 years, and today I'd like to share with you a vertical easel card. I'd recently received one from my friend Bonnie, and it folded in what I would call the vertical position. They're kind of neat because they'll sit on a desk. And I got to thinking, why couldn't you do it in the other direction? Instead of using a sheet cut in half this way, I cut it the long way. So I'm calling this the horizontal position, and it also will sit up and on a desk from the recipient so they can enjoy it. And so let's get started. For this card, I'm using a couple items that are from our Sale-A-Bration brochure. Sale-A-Bration runs through the end of February. And so these two items, if you place a $100 order, you'd be able to get both of them. But I'm using both the Flower and Field Designer Series paper, which is so much more beautiful in person than it is in the catalog, and the Approaching Perfection stamp set. For anyone who places an order through me and uses my host code, on my website, justalittlink.stampinup.net, through the end of February, I will place your name in a drawing, and you might receive one of the Approaching Perfection stamp sets from me. I have an extra one, and I would love to give that to you if you place an order through me. If you already have a demonstrator, I want you to place your order through them. But if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. And so let's get started and show you all of the measurements and cuts on how to make this wonderful card. All of these measurements will be on my blog, justalittlink.com. So I have a half a sheet of Pool Party cardstock, a quarter sheet of the Designer Series paper. Again, that is the Flower and Field Designer Series paper. You also need a little piece from a scrap. I cut already, and I'm using our Stitched So Sweetly dies from Just Jade, pulling colors that are in the Designer Series paper. I need a piece of basic black cardstock that I'm going to use our 1.5-inch circle punch on. And then you need another quarter sheet of Whisper White, and not Whisper White, it's going to take us a while, Basic White, and a scrap piece of Basic White that I'm going to stamp on and then cut a smaller stitched shape from that. So let's get started. You also will need your paper trimmer. Pull out my paper trimmer, and so this is 4 1/4 by 11. I'm going to score it once at 5.5 inches, making sure I'm using my score blade. It's the lighter colored gray. And then I also need to score it at 2 3/4 inches. Before I put this away, I'm going to go ahead and cut. So I have told you that I have it 4 1/8 by 5 1/4, but I need to cut it in half at 2 5/8. So I'm going to line it up in my scoring blade. There we go. Make sure this time I'm going to use the cutting tool and cut that in half so that I then have two pieces that line up. I wanted them to match, so then I can get my scoring tool out of the way. So for this, it's a real simple card to put together. I'm going to fold in half. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold this piece in just so that I know I've got a nice, good score line on it. And then I'm going to use my Stamp and Seal. And I'm going to line up on this half. Make sure I'm lined up here. this half over here. And then I'm going to attach this other one on the other side. You kind of see why I wanted those to line up. Like so. Okay. And then have these pieces ready, so I want to stamp. And so I'm using the "if things really do get better with age, then you're approaching perfection." And I'm going to stamp that on my scrap piece of basic white. And I'm using some Just Jade ink. So I'm going to stamp here. Like so. I'll clean that later. Close my ink pad for the moment. I'm going to pull out my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's perfect for these smaller cuts. And I've got my plate number 1. Little piece of paper there. My cutting plate, and you'll see I keep one that I just cut on. I'm going to put in my paper, and then I'm going to be using this die, and I have a little piece of washi tape on it. You'll see why. I want to line it up, making sure I'm straight. And that's where this comes in because it keeps it from moving around. So I can pull it out here. I'm going to run it through. While I was at it, I could have ran through my one other piece. So we're going to do that. So pull that out. I also am going to need this littlest of them all. I showed you that I already had a piece of the designer paper, but I want a little more sturdiness to that paper. And so I'm going to run one through with some other scrap of my basic white. Okay, then we can get this all out of the way. So we've got that. And I can get my machine out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to pull this back in. I should have price stamped on here while I was thinking about it. You ever do that? You think of one thing and then you scoot along? So, for the inside, I'm just going to put "Happy Birthday." Ink it up nice. Come in. Nice good pressure. And so just have a nice happy birthday. Then I can get rid of this. Set that out of the way for the moment. All these extra pieces out of the way. So in order to make this work, I have cut a 1 3/4 inch strip of basic black. And I've scored it in half at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to pull in my 1 1/2 inch punch. I'm going to line it up so that I have it right in the center. So I get a circle on one end, and I'm going to come in on this side and do the exact same thing. You could cut circles and then score them. That's also an idea, and it will work. So then I'm going to fold these in half. So one's a little better than the other one. So the bigger thing, we'll just scoot it over a little bit. Make sure I have it closer to the half. Okay. You can sometimes force when you're a little off. So I'm going to pull out my multi-purpose liquid glue. Get it going here. Getting low. If you hear my dog, sometimes it's a little fun trying to film when you get dogs. So I'm going to find my halfway mark. That's where my score line is. And I'm going to come in halfway. I kind of just eyeball. You could measure. What's more important is that you've got it lined up. So I'm going to put glue on this other side. Shake it down into here. There we go. Again, fold it in half. And I'm going to just butt it up against. So I've got two circles folded here, like so. Okay, so it's ready for me to finish. I'm going to decorate up with some of our 3/8 inch sheer pool party ribbon. And I didn't measure. What I'm going to do is just come across here, kind of just like so. I want enough to be able to tie it in a bow. So, let's see how well I do on this on camera. Come through here. It's going to tie a simple bow on the one end. I want the bow to be all the way over here. So I'm going to fold it here. You could tie this in a knot if bow making is not your thing. I know I've got customers who either love bows or cannot stand bows. It kind of goes either way. And then I'm just going to pull them out just so I have a little more even. And I'm going to force my bow on this end here. All right. So then I can pull out my scissors, kind of trim up to where I've got nicer ends. There we go. Out of the way. So, like so. Now this piece is what's going to come down here. So I'm going to put some glue on this end. Just going to put my finger here to kind of align up. I want to make sure that I'm about halfway, which I am. Just press here, make sure I get nice adhesion. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. So my greeting, I'm going to put 4 of them. You certainly, if you were trying to conserve, could snip these in half or use the minis. Pull off on the other end. So then I'm going to put this on the center. Like so. And then to finish my card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my inside quarter sheet, my happy birthday, use some of my Stampin' Seal, line it up, and the last thing to make this all work, I'm going to take my 2 pieces here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the one. Line them up. They should match up exact since they're cut out of the same die. And that was just to have a little more substance to my paper. And then I'm going to put 2 more dimensionals on this. And then I'm going to line it up. I want it on this right edge and in about a 1/2 inch. So you want it centered top to bottom as close as you can and about, like I said, about a 1/2 inch in. I eyeball. I don't measure. You could measure, but then it's just like that. So then I can take and give my gift, and someone can put it on their desk and enjoy. So I hope you've enjoyed my vertical easel card with a horizontal orientation. Again, I'd love to be your demonstrator. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would so appreciate it if you would. And if you click the bell, you'll get notifications when I share new videos. So have a great day. Thanks for joining me.